This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
Myth, the legend that is Joe Schad. All right. I like a new board, too, that Sean came up with. Looks nice, too. I like it. And he put the old logo, which he knows it's a requirement on this show. We don't want the whale on there. How you doing, brother? You doing good? You feeling good?
Doing good, Big O. How are you?
Good. I saw Hal's article on Dable being a 3.5 to 1 favorite on being the Dolphins head coach.
Oh, I didn't even see that.
The Vegas favorite. Yeah. Why don't you read Hal Habib, by the way? He's part of the Palm Beach Post. I don't know if you know that, but anyway. So
you're a big fan of his.
I love Hal. Hal's a good dude, bro. Hal's like if you have a problem with Hal, then you have a problem, right? Isn't that the case?
Well, we need the communication and collaboration on the Palm Beach Post staff. That's very important.
Yeah, Hal's awesome, dude. I love Hal. Plus, he's a soccer guy. So, he and I obviously connect on other plateaus there when it comes to soccer. So, Joe, I'm hearing that Dable's like the lead dog. What do you hear now at this point in time? But that's the guy they want, even though I'm a Caldwell guy. But what are you hearing?
Well, you hear Dable mentioning connections with other jobs, such as the New York Giants. And if one of the Bills executives who used to be with the Dolphins is hired there, would that be sort of a package deal? So the timeline is going to be interesting to monitor here because the Dolphins have all their interviews, of course, their initial interviews lined up for this week. Dable and Leslie Frazier from the Bills have already interviewed. Mike McDaniel from the 49ers today. Dan Quinn and Kellen Moore of the Cowboys on Thursday. They did not have a great last game. You wonder how much that plays a role. Does Kellen Moore get grilled to ask about that Dak Prescott run? And then Thomas Brown of the Rams and Vance Joseph of the Cardinals on Friday. So, do the Dolphins add more candidates to the list? Are there candidates who have been not yet reported? How quickly do the Dolphins want to move? It's a competitive situation. There are a lot of openings. And Dable and Quinn in particular and McDaniel as well, very popular candidates. So if you want one of those guys, you might have to move relatively quickly.
Yeah, I'm certainly. I don't look at those McDaniels and those kind of those young guys that have never done it. I don't even know if they can build a staff. It's kind of like, are you going to keep making the same mistakes over and over again? You've hired coaches that can build staffs. Are you going to keep doing that? You've hired coaches that have never done it. Are you going to keep doing that? You know what I mean? And for the knock on the retread, well, you really haven't gone down that path that much. So maybe you're better off going in that direction because you got a front office that knows what they're doing. I think overall drafting, just get a coach that can coach the players and develop a staff. How do you see it?
Well, we both like Brian Dable,
right?
But, we do wonder, since he hasn't been a head coach, what kind of a staff would he plan to assemble? One advantage might be retaining some Dolphins defensive coaches. So that's good. And then if he's going to call the plays on offense, maybe it's not as big a concern. But at least Dan Quinn has put together a staff. Leslie Frazier has been a head coach, right?
Yep. Head
Vance
coach
Joseph
and
has been a head coach. So, I think that's one of the things that Stephen Ross and Chris Grier and Tom Garfinkel might really be drilling down on in these interviews more than even in the past. Like, okay, what is your plan? Are you sure you have this guy lined up as your defensive coordinator? How do you feel about keeping a Josh Boyer or Gerald Alexander? I think, when you look at the list, it's not like superstar names that jump out at you. There's no Jim Harbaugh on that list. There's no Nick Saban on that list. And, that might be okay. Not a lot of people knew about, Sean McVay before he was hired, or Matt LaFleur. Those were hot shots. Adam Gase was a hot shot. I guess McDaniel would be kind of the hot shot. Thomas Brown as a fast riser. in the industry. And it was a little too early for him. I don't know. I was doing some research on the former Miami offensive coordinator, Thomas Brown, the running back. He's like the same age as McVay and the guy that the Chargers hired. So I don't know. Maybe it's a little early for him. Maybe.
I wouldn't make the same mistake of going after those young coordinators that haven't done it, and we don't even know if they can build a staff. I'd rather go, with the older guy at this point, because you've got already a base of talent that, you want to kind of take advantage of those guys and not watch them get old in front of you because you keep screwing up, above those guys. Because that's the one thing in the last 25 years. You watched, Madison Surtain and Taylor and Zach and Tim Bowens get old. And then we watched Rashad Jones and Cam Wake and, I don't know, Soliai and, other guys that they had on this team and that were pretty good players, and they got old and they never really enjoyed a lot of success. And that's the part that's kind of sucked, is that they've watched a couple of waves of pretty good defenses during the last 25 years come and go because you can't figure out the coaching and the offense.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the offensive side of the ball would be the way to go if you can. I wanted to call attention to an article that I posted on the Palm Beach Post website that you can find, Big O, and I want to get your take on it. It's about the top 10 hits and top 10 misses of Chris Grier's regime as general manager. And I clearly explain in there that Mike Tannenbaum had a large part, especially in free agent decisions between 2016 and 2018, and Adam Gase and Brian Flores obviously had a heavy hand in a lot of decisions. But I wanted to talk to you about free agency in particular. When I tried to include not just draft picks, but also free agents who worked out and didn't work out over the last 6 years. And Big O, I was just disgusted at the list of names that the Dolphins have signed as free agents in the last 6 years and how almost none of them worked out. Listen to this list, and it's going back to 2016, and a lot of these guys are older guys. Mario Williams, Arian Foster, Andre Branch, Lawrence Timmons, Josh Sitton, Danny Amendola, Jordan Howard, Shaq Lawson, Eric Flowers, Kyle Van Noy, Will Fuller. There are just so many guys on there that never should have been signed. It's ironic that three of them are Texans, right? Mario Williams, Arian Foster were obviously washed. Will Fuller was just, didn't want to play. But I guess my question to you is this. Do you have a concern about this? And it's mentioned in my article, the fact that Chris Grier is under extreme pressure now. The Dolphins haven't advanced to the playoffs in 5 straight years. They chose him and didn't keep the coach. Are you worried that Grier might go a little bit off of what he would prefer to do, which is sign guys who are like 24 to 27 and add more of those Tannenbaum type guys that are 30 to 33 that maybe are past their prime? In other words, try to take a shortcut instead of going with the sustainable success plan.
No, only on the O-line he might do that, because you got young guys that you might need a bridge to get to those young guys. So if you can get a serviceable old veteran lineman that you can get a year or two out of, because you still think you might be a year or two away from developing whoever, Solomon Kinley or whatever, then yeah, I can see that. Outside of that, I don't expect them to go old in some of the areas. And then when I read your article, the only thing I differ with you on all of this is I don't judge Grier before the last 3 years, because I don't know what he really had control under and or whatever.
But if you ask him, he'll tell you it was his show. And here's the thing. Some folks say, well, it's unfair. You know him to point fingers? No. But some folks say, look, it's unfair that you say that he shouldn't have signed Mario Williams and Arian Foster. And maybe that's true. But in that same year, 2016, the Dolphins drafted the number 1 and 2 guys on my list, Xavier Howard and Laramie Tunsil.
Yeah.
So you can't say, oh, well, let's give Chris
I
Grier
don't know.
credit.
I'm not giving him any credit.
So he doesn't get credit for the Laramie Tunsil draft pick.
I'm only judging him for these 3 years because he's in charge of these 3 years.
Well, the problem is
completely in charge. I can't.
So then you don't give him credit for
like crazy.
Minkah Fitzpatrick was drafted in 2018. Are you going to say that that shouldn't be on Chris Grier's resume?
No, I'm only going to chart his first 3 years.
So he loses his best 3 draft picks. Xavier Howard, Laramie Tunsil, and Minkah Fitzpatrick were all drafted when Mike Tannenbaum and Adam Gase were in the organization.
That's fine. Because I don't know who to credit and who to give blame. See, you're conveniently using the article to blame a guy that you don't know if he actually chose or didn't choose the players. So you should have done an article over the last 3 years.
Well, all right. Let's talk about
in charge. And then you can do the hits and the misses. And then that's fair because it's all under Grier, even though obviously the other guy had influence, but this is his decision. And the other one, he did not have the power. Here, even if Flo made the bad decisions, it was his decision to put Flo in a position to make those bad decisions.
So what should Chris Grier have done when Brian Flores said, I'm done with Eric Flowers. I can't win with this guy. He's a stiff.
He should do what he needs to do now.
$17 million.
He should have told.
An under-discussed thing. Let's talk about mismanagement.
Big time.
$17 million.
Big time.
For 1 year to Eric Flowers.
Hey, that's Kyle Van Noy. That's Kyle Van Noy too. He didn't want Kyle Van Noy after
$15 million, 1 year.
And then they had to take the hit.
1 year, $13.5 million. Add that up. I mean, that's 30.
And by the way, wait a minute. The Shaq Lawson one, I did have a little beef with you on that.
$45 million for those 3 guys for 1 year.
On the Shaq Lawson one, didn't they get production out of him for the year they got him?
Yeah, but it turned out that Flo was right. He was washed because they traded him to the Texans. He couldn't play. They traded him to the Jets. He couldn't play. He's done. He's not the guy who was in college.
But they got production out. They got production out of him.
Who?
Just Miami. The 1 year he played, he was productive.
Well, they traded. Who executed the trade for Benardrick McKinney?
That's all. Who knows who wanted what, and if Flo pushed and made changes and all that. That's why I'm saying you judge Grier on the last 3 years. He screwed up with the head coach. He screwed up giving the coach too much power. So now he put himself in a really difficult position. Now he's got to get the coach right. But this time around, don't give him power. This time the coach can suggest. Don't give him the power where he can screw you over, where you desperately need Eric Flowers, and he's forcing you to trade Eric Flowers away. He wanted you to acquire Kyle Van Noy, and now he wants you to get rid of Kyle Van Noy. This is why you screwed up.
Most coaches have control of the 53-man roster, correct?
Yeah, yes. But the personnel guy can say, no, you're coaching him. He's better than the guy you want. And that's what Grier needed to say to Flo a lot of times. Say, no. Eric Flowers is staying. He's your best left guard.
If you don't want to play him, don't play him, but he's staying on the roster.
Right, exactly. That's what he should have done, and that's what he needs to do with the next head coach. Because if he doesn't do that, Joe, then Marvin, Reggie, and Chris will all get fired next year. I've seen this story before. So you already made the mistake. It's been made with Gase. You made it with Flo. Don't make it again. The next guy doesn't get to cook the groceries. He only gets to cook them, not shop.
Here's a concern, okay? Everyone is saying, man, this is Chris Grier's time to shine, right? Everyone's gone. Tannenbaum's gone. Gase is gone. Flores is gone. He needs to be more assertive. He needs to be an alpha male. He needs to assert his strength. You kind of are who you are, you know. Chris Grier is an agreeable guy, and it's not like he's new. He's been around for 20 years. And by the way, when are we going to hear from Chris Grier? Like, let's talk to. I know he's got a coaching search to run here, but you know,
what's he gonna answer now? At this point, you're just going to grill him?
He's got a coaching search to run, so I'll give him a little slack. Obviously, as soon as it ends, we need to hear from Chris Grier. But it would have been, I guess what I'm saying is it would have been nice to hear from Chris the same day we heard from Mr. Ross, or maybe the next day, so that he could set the tone for the coaching search. Ross didn't answer questions about what they're looking for in a coach, how the organization is going to change. In reading some old articles, Big O, I have some concern about this. At certain points in past Chris Grier press conferences, he's referred to the dysfunction of the organization being over. Well,
Yep.
why didn't it end? Why didn't the dysfunction end?
Because you ended up hiring a dysfunctional person and you screwed up. It's pretty simple. I mean, it's not difficult math, dude. You hired the wrong dude. You hired a person that doesn't know how to get along with other people.
Does it
Doesn't know how to
surprise you
work.
that the Bears and the Giants and the Texans are salivating at the prospect of hiring Flores? I'm just saying, when you look at these free agents, there are a lot of free agents.
Dude, you just said Bears.
Who never played again.
You just said Bears, Giants, and who else? Texans?
Yeah.
What are those franchises?
Oh, there's
They're
a lot
garbage.
of franchises that have a lot of
No, Joe, they're garbage. Just like
the Bears
the Jets,
and the Giants are historic.
Just like the Jets, but they're stupid organizations as of late, and they would do stupid things. Like you saw what happened with Adam Gase in Miami, but yet you still hire him. You see what's going on with Flo here in Miami, but you're still going to hire him. And what I would say to you, Joe, because this is what I love how you and other media members are spinning this across the country. Oh, Flo's this great guy. So let me ask you, Joe, what head coach from the Miami Dolphins ever had success after they left here, Joe? Because all of a sudden, you and other media members are trying to make it sound like Flo is some catch. Flo's not a catch, dude. And neither was Gase, and neither was Sperano, and neither was Cam Cameron, and neither was Jimmy Johnson, and neither was Dave Wanstead. They all left Miami, and they all went back in their merry way, and they sucked forever.
So let me ask you this.
I don't know why Flo all of a sudden is any different than the garbage they've had here for 25 years. So this place is not dysfunctional as everybody makes it out to be, because Dennis Hickey is still succeeding like crazy in Buffalo. Jeff Ireland succeeded in New Orleans. Rick Spielman did a hell of a job in Minnesota until he got fired. He just couldn't figure out the quarterback spot, but he did a good job. I got to give him credit on offense and defense. He built up some pretty good units. So the dysfunction is you got to stop hiring dysfunctional people. That's the problem here. And you hired a dysfunctional.
Can I say something? I know that is your show. Your name is on the show. Do you think that Brian Flores has a better chance in his second chance to succeed than Adam Gase?
No.
You don't think he? I disagree with that. I think Flores has a better chance. I did not think that Gase had a chance to succeed in his second chance. Came too quickly.
So what would make you think that? All the challenges he won? What would make you think that he stuck with Austin Jackson at left tackle?
Well,
what would make
you
think that?
Austin
What would make you think he'd be successful? Because he thought he was going to win with Jacoby Brissett, bro? Please set me the examples, Joe, that say he's going to win. I'd love to hear him. Please break it down for me. Why is he going to be a winner in Chicago or anywhere else? Love to hear this.
I can't believe I'm being put in the position to be a Brian Flores defender. I didn't think he was a very nice guy. But since you're putting me in this position to defend Brian Flores,
bring it on.
What does he bring? He brings toughness, discipline, and structure. Now, penalties went down, discipline increased. All right. So I'm worried that maybe the organization could take a step back in those areas. Now, that doesn't mean that he should have been the head coach or that he figured out the offensive plan or that he managed his players and spoke with them, including his quarterback, in the best way possible.
Or that he could never find a QB coach.
I think that your disdain for Brian Flores maybe goes a little too far.
Aren't the facts that he brought in Jacoby Brissett and thought he could win with it. Aren't the facts are that he kept Austin Jackson at left tackle, and he could have kept the Washington guy for left guard and could have kept Austin Jackson on the bench. I mean, isn't this the guy that couldn't win any challenges? Isn't this the guy that changes offensive line coaches every year and put the three stooges at quarterbacks coach? Dude, it's not I have a disdain for him. It's just he's a joke. And it's obvious that he's a freaking joke. And I don't know how you don't see that he's a freaking joke. And to tell me that he's going to be this great guy in the next stop, where's the examples? Because I don't
think I said he's going to be a great guy in the next stop. I just said
you think he's going to be successful.
It wouldn't be surprising to me if he does a better job given a second chance. And you're obviously hoping that if the Dolphins bring in a coach for a second chance, whether it's a Jim Caldwell or Doug Peterson, who we have not heard mentioned as formal candidates interviewing, that they would do a better job in their second chance.
Yeah, but what I like is you've kind of made your mind up. Like you did this with two already, and today you kind of said, "Well, I'm afraid that the Dolphins are going to take a step back in discipline." They haven't even hired anybody. He might be even better than Flo in discipline. Your team might be better. You might win your challenges. Maybe you'll have a more consistent offensive line. Maybe you'll have a better QB coach. Maybe you'll have a better offensive coordinator. There's a lot of things that could get better for the Dolphins. But
I hope so.
But you didn't start that way. You started with, well, I'm afraid they're going to take a step back. Well, why would you be afraid of anything? We don't even know where we're going yet. If we had, some fool coaching, then I'm with you. Oh man, looks like this doesn't look like a good situation. But we don't even know who the coach is. And you're already thinking that they're going to take a step back. That doesn't make any sense, Joe. Right?
You asked me what I thought Flores brought to the table, essentially, and what I told you was penalties went down, discipline, structure, organization, toughness. I think that those are strengths of Flores. Do I know everything that happened behind the scenes that led to the dismissal? No. But we'll see. We'll see how this plays out. Look,
we could say for Flores, slow starts are norm, and we could say the last 2 years when you needed a win at the end, you couldn't get it done either to get in. So, these are things also I could say about.
I don't want to spend too much more time talking about Brian Flores. It really doesn't matter. You're right. He's gone. It's more important to focus on where we go from here.
No, you're right. I'm with you there. But again, it's just I love the picture that's being painted like he's this Picasso. And it couldn't be further from the truth when you look at everything that went on here. He's the reason why they're not in the playoffs. Not the reason why you went 7-0. He's the reason why you're not in the playoffs. That's why they fired him, because they know that he buried them at 1-7 right from the get-go. So
we obviously know where you stand on Brian Flores. You don't think he's a good coach. You think he was the problem.
Yes.
And we know where you stand on Tua Tagovailoa. You think he is a future Hall of Famer, certainly a multi-time Pro Bowler, an All-Pro. You think so? We know where we stand.
And by the way, the Flores thing was, I was saying that 3 months ago. It wasn't like now or anything like that. So I'm not a fly-by-nighter. I was saying in the middle of the win streak, I was saying he needed to get fired because I knew what was going on behind the scenes, overall. So hopefully they fix these issues. But if they give the next guy power, Joe, and that guy doesn't have the magic touch, you know what's going to happen. You're going to be writing next year that everybody's gone. And they're going to start all over again. I've seen this story before.
Well, that's why I'm a little concerned about this. It's not ideal, but it's true that it's kind of like Tua's last chance. It's not ideal, but it's true that it's kind of like Grier's last chance. That's never ideal. That's never ideal. It's not the ideal setup, which is why I had some concerns. It's legitimate.
Those are legitimate. It's not legitimate to say, well, I think they're going to take a step back, and we don't even know who's going to coach yet. But those concerns you have are super legitimate.
I think it's important that you not put words in my mouth. I didn't say that the Dolphins are going to take a step back. I said that I would be worried about if the Dolphins will take a step back.
Well, let's wait till Barney Rubble's coaching them. Then we can worry. What are you working on?
I would like the Dolphins coaching search to be over within the next 10 days. I would like the head coach press conference to occur before the Senior Bowl. If you can get that done, I'd appreciate it.
It won't. It's going to drag on past the Senior Bowl. Yeah, playoffs. Yeah, it's going to drag on.
Good to see you, buddy.
Yeah, but Bills are alive, bro. So the Bills are dead.
Well, you can choose Dable and have him.
Yeah, but I think
that AFC Championship game as your future head coach.
I'm hearing it may end up dragging past the Senior Bowl, probably.
Gotcha.
All right, what are you working on the Palm Beach Post? So folks can check you out and subscribe, damn it. All right, folks, subscribe. Support Joe. All right, go ahead. What do you got?
Well, I posted that article evaluating Chris Grier's 6 years as general manager. He is, in fact, the general manager for the last 6 years. So check that out. In all honesty, I want to get your guys' feedback on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram about what I got right, what I got wrong, who was the worst decision, where I'm off. So let me know.
He's right. He was in charge for 6 years. Now, technically the other 3, but he's right. That was the label. Follow him on Twitter as Schad Joe and catch his work there at the Palm Beach Post like I do every single day. Read Joe and Hal, by the way, and Tom D'Angelo, another ass kicker there. All right, you be good, brother. We'll talk next week.
All right.
You got it. The great Joe Schad. I love it. All right. Let's do this. Let's take a quick break. Top of the hour. Let's get ready for hour number 3. Right here on the program. We'll be joined by Michelle Kaufman around 12:10, 12:15. We'll go over Joe's comments when we come back right here on the Big O.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.